Hey friends, this is the Miss Wolfie from our Half Acre Homestead. Well, I've been to the market and I bought a big, huge, beautiful cabbage. So what I want to do is I want to make cabbage rolls. Now, I don't make cabbage rolls often, so when I do, I make enough to freeze some dinners for Papa and I. And here's how we're going to do it. This is a mammoth cabbage, and it is a nice, big, flat. It's an early season cabbage, which means it's not tightly packed and solid like you would for a sauerkraut cabbage. This is more designed for cabbage rolls. We have a leek, which I've trimmed and washed. We have a nice big clove of garlic. We have about 1 cup of cooked rice. And we have about a pound of extra lean ground beef. So let's get started. I just canned some mincemeat. So here's the canning pot, and I've left the water in it, and I've left it hot, and I've turned it on because we're going to have to blanch our cabbage. We're going to turn our skillet on, and we're just going to add a tablespoon or so of oil. And the only reason I'm adding oil is because my beef is extra lean. This is high heat, 100% non-GMO, pure avocado oil. You can use any oil you want. I just like to use the best. Let's let that heat up, and while that's heating up, let's prepare our cabbage. Preparing the cabbage is quite easy. You just take a knife, and like I said, this looks huge, but it's really quite lightweight, and we're just going to cut down around the core. There we go. And once that pot of water is boiling, we're just going to drop this in the water gently so that the hot water will go in and it will help blanch the leaves. Our frying pan looks nice and hot. Let's get our thawed ground beef in there. This is organic lean ground beef, and that's why we need the oil, because it is so lean. Let's turn that down, and we'll just get that browning up. Now this is a great meal if you want your meat to go really far. You can add as much rice as you have meat. In this case, we're just going to add a cup of rice. Alright, let's set our cabbage over here, and let's get our vegetables ready to go in with the ground beef. Now you can use just plain onions, but I like to use whatever I got on hand, and I just happened to get a beautiful couple of big fresh leeks at the farmer's market. So we're just going to put those in there. And now let's just do our garlic. And we'll take the skin off. And we're just going to mince our garlic up. I'm not fancy, folks. I'm not going to make the tomato sauce. I'm just going to use canned spaghetti sauce from my pantry. And in goes the garlic. Once that's browned, we'll add up our rice. Oh, I almost forgot. Pepper and salt. Okay, so our ground beef is browned, and our onions and our leek and garlic. And I'm just going to turn it off, add my cup of rice. Now, like I said, if you want a lot more filling to go farther because you're on a tighter budget, just add more rice. Okay, here's our water for our cabbage. It does not take much, especially when you have the core taken out. I'm just going to drop our cabbage in there and press it down and let the water go in. And if there isn't enough to go in, just take some boiling water from the kettle and pour it right into the core. See how it's bubbling up? Now I'm just going to put this in a strainer and run some cold water into it and let it cool down. As you can see, the leaves are already separating. Okay, here it is, folks. Here is our meat concoction and our rice and leeks and garlic. We have a can of just plain, you know, spaghetti sauce. We have 4 aluminum foil pans with their lids and our blanched cabbage. Let's start assembly. I also have a small roasting pan aside because you know I'm not going to get away with making these without making some for Papa. Now all I did with this cabbage was I drained it and then I filled it full of cold water in the sink and then I turned it over into the strainer to drain. Very carefully I'm going to take the top leaf of the cabbage roll. Now the first few cabbage rolls are going to be huge. So those are the ones I'm going to put in the roasting pan. Now, we just want to, where's my paring knife? First off, if your stem is a little thick, just go ahead, take your paring knife and cut that out because it doesn't make for easy rolling. All right, that's more like it. So we're just going to, see how nice and limp these leaves are? And we're just going to fold them and just roll them up and into the roasting pan that goes. And there we go. And I'm just going to pour just a little, I've buttered my pan, and I'm just going to pour just a little bit of sauce on these. And I'm going to put the lid on them and put them in the fridge. This is going to be for supper later. Now, because this is kind of a fussy job, I like to make extra. So that's what we're going to do. Always butter your pans, especially if you're going to freeze them, so that your cabbage does not stick to the pan when it goes in the oven. Give it a shake down. Put this foil side down. And Bob's your uncle. We have a dinner to go in the freezer that I can just take out anytime, take the lid off and dump it into the crock pot and turn it on low and let it cook for the afternoon.